Hey everybody, we're going to get into more cool things like circuit testers and also multimeters. You're going to definitely need some kind of multimeter in this field. So let's get started. All right, let's get into circuit testers and multimeters. So some of the things I want to kind of cover are some different types, and we can go as simple all the way up to the more sophisticated or more expensive type stuff. But as you start in, you're going to want to do some basic stuff and get some basic tools too. So let's go, and this can be something very simple that you can either make, you can buy. There's a lot of manufacturers that actually uh, make fused jumper wires. They'll actually have, you can actually just buy some wire, and if you're any good at soldering at all, that will help too. I'll actually put a section on how to solder, and that will be part of a future video. But basically, some basic wire, some fuses, some clips. If you want to, you can actually go with the different types of fuses. There's a bunch of different fuses out there. But this is going to be really helpful when you're diagnosing some, you know, electrical problems along the way. So there's also test lights. Now, test lights, they come in different types and forms. There are some basic ones that are non-powered, where you actually use a probe. You'll connect it to a ground or trying to check for available voltage. You won't tell you exactly what kind of voltage you have, but it'll say, hey, I've got voltage here. There's other types of test lights too, where they actually have, they're powered and they actually have their own source of power. And these are for more continuity. You got to be very careful with test lights of any kind. If they're not within a specification, can actually damage the actual computer if you're using it on a computer, source or a computer managed type system. So if you're using it actually on a computer to back probe, you want to make sure it has a minimum of 10 megaohms of impedance it will isolate itself from the circuit. You don't want to make it be part of the circuit where it puts a load on it and it actually damages the computer. Other fun ones are like this right here, and you can actually make them yourself. I've done this in class. I've actually made them in class in some of my electro classes, where you just take a something like a old pen, the casing of an old pen, take the actually the ink out of it and stuff like that, and you can actually make one out of this. And if you get some time, you can actually solder it up, make yourself one, and it's a lot of fun to do. But this is an LED. Now, you can actually buy these LED test lights. They are production, and you can make some and get some really nice ones. But this is one style of test light you'll need, and these are really good for back probing on computer sources like that. So they have a high impedance into them, so that makes it really simple to do. There again, it still doesn't tell you how much; it just tells you the voltage is there. Another type of tool, especially if you're looking at digital signals, you probably need a logic probe. Logic probes are really good for digital signals, on-off type signals, and this is something that you would use in more of your advanced diagnostics and stuff like that too. But of course, you'll need some kind of digital volt ohm meter, some kind of digital meter with high impedance. Again, remember that 10 mega ohms of impedance that needs to be on it, so it isolates itself from the circuit. You'll use this meter all the time in the automotive field. It's great for measuring DC voltage, AC voltage, resistance, pulse width. You can have a lot of different features, and it depends on what kind you get. My first one I actually bought was an old Radio Shack one back when they weren't that popular in automotive. So that kind of dates me a little bit there, but they are great for checking out circuits, and everything that you would use on you'll use this a lot. Let's put it that way. Another thing that you can do with the digital meter is to, like I said, check resistance. This is great. You definitely need to know how to use one properly, and I'll be doing another video on that. But this is just an overview of different types of circuit testers and multimeters like that. So this is something that you'll use almost daily. I would say, especially when you're doing electrical, and electrical goes across a lot of things, folks. It goes from, of course, electrical work like charging, starting, and stuff like that, but it also goes into transmissions. It goes into, your brake, ABS sensors. Everything is pretty much electrical on the car nowadays. And then your digital meters, definitely, like I said before, you can actually have more sophisticated ones, more features on them. Another measurement is amperage. How much does it take to turn the device on? Let's see, how much amperage does it take to have the horn operate? And this is actually showing like 5.60 amps. That may be in specification, it may not be in specification. And then you can isolate if it's in good shape and it's just not sounding, or if it's actually has an actual resistance, internal resistance problem on it like that. And you can actually do a resistance test on it too. But this is a completed circuit, which helps a lot for diagnosing stuff like this. Some of the other amperage type meters are your charging system and your starting system circuits. This actually is just showing a battery load test right now. That's another type of tool that you normally have a shop own. You don't normally own one of these, but this is another type of and this is what they call an inductive amp meter. So instead of isolating like the previous slide actually showed it in circuit, because amp meters need to be measuring amperage going through a circuit. Now, this is another kind of tool. There again, like I said, it is an inductive type amp meter. The other one is really cool. You can buy these, and they are in different brands out there. This one actually measures voltage and amperage, and I believe this one actually measures resistance too. So that makes it really kind of a portable type tool that you can buy, and you don't have to have a bulky meter too. And this is all digital too, and it has a scale. And you buy them in different types of functions on a lot of different meters. Now, the other thing too is you can actually get meters that actually measure in different types of settings, and this is just one meter out there. This is a actual flute, and it measures your diode testing. So sometimes you want to check a diode when you're building something or you're putting something into circuit. It also measures duty cycle, and it can actually measure frequency, how much you push one button, you turn it onto a scale, and you can actually measure frequency, especially when you're getting into seeing if an injector, or if you're seeing if a signal is getting to a sensor, I should say an actuator, that actually you need to, sometimes you need to know what the frequency of a mass airflow sensor is. Maybe you have a solenoid that you need to know what the duty cycle is on that solenoid, like a purge solenoid, and like that too. So there's a bunch of different things that you might want to use just with your digital volt-ohm-meter type thing. I'm going to break this down even farther, but I just want to do a quick little overview of how to do what you're looking at. So when you're doing resistance, you got to be very careful to look at the scale, especially when you got auto meters where they're actually going to automatically move the scale around. So some meters, you don't have that auto function to it, but some meters do. So you really need to look over to the side where it says K ohm or a M ohm like that. That's going to give you a good clue how to read the scale. And I'll do a whole breakdown on another video on how to really kind of bring this out. So we got to really understand this. There's other, things that, you need to understand and how to set them up and set them up properly. Like I said before, some of the meters actually have auto ranging. And that can be kind of, wait a minute, I need to really look at this close. And you can go from different, voltage readings, frequency readings, and depending on what kind of meter you get, you can actually have minimum max readings. And like I said, I'm going to be breaking all this down into more precise and what you're looking at and what you should be reading, and or something that you anticipate reading and like that. So there are different setups for different things. You got to be careful. You don't want to set them up improperly. You set them up improperly and you're doing let's say you're doing an amperage reading and you've got it on an ohm scale. You just may have just destroyed your meter right there. Or you actually getting the amperage to be too high for that meter. So most of the digital handheld meters I've had only go up to like 10 amps of a capability. And if you try to use that on a starter circuit or something that's above 10 amps, then you can actually have some problems too. So like I said, I'll be doing a whole different video on just that. All right, so just kind of recap the whole thing. The digital volt-ohm meters are a really important tool to have in your toolbox. There's different brands you can buy out there, and they can be the brands from tool trucks. You can even to get yourself started. Harbor Freight has some. Don't expect the best. You get for what you pay for. Some of them are pretty inexpensively made, and they may not have as precise readings on it as before. But you can have, different types of DVOMs, or sometimes they call them DMMs, to, measure, voltage, to measure amperage, to measure resistance or ohm meter type settings like that. Then you have tools like logic probes, test lights, LED test lights. So, and just even having a set of wires with fuses to them, with clips on some kind of probe clip to them, that will help you in diagnosing some of these problems too. So that's it for now, folks. If you have any questions or you have any comments, please leave it down below. And I really appreciate it if you like this video and you actually subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, and I really would appreciate it. That's all for now. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.